Okay, to complete the build, um, we need the remaining parts. So we need the two 3D printed sleds, the four 1-inch spacers, the four 3/8 inch spacers, the 8 rubber washers, and the 8 slotted 400 screws. Okay, so the easiest way I can think of putting this together, and we're assuming that you loaded the battery. So if you haven't loaded the battery, take the opportunity to put your batteries in first. Okay, make sure that the payload switch is turned off as it is here. So once the cover is replaced, we're ready to do the final assembly of the sled. We're going to start with the spacers and attach one 1-inch spacer to the 3/8 inch spacers. We'll go ahead and screw those together. All right. And the easiest way to do this, through one of the corners, I would insert a screw and hold it in place like so with my index finger. Okay. And I will then screw on one of the completed spacers. Okay. You want to tighten it snug, but not over tighten, like that. Okay. Do this for all four sides. Now we're going to press on the rubber washers. So I'm going to take one and kind of press it on in place about halfway down. Okay, and do this on all four spacers, like so. It may take a little bit of work to work it on there. That just ensures that it will have a snug fit. Okay. All right. Now we're going to place on the 3D printed parts. So the thing I want to show you is that the middle rail is lower on one side than the other. Okay, you want the lower side toward the bottom of the payload. So we'll place on both spacers, noting that the middle rail is a little bit off center, and we want the smaller side toward the bottom. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to squeeze the bottom a little bit, like so, and place on the four washers on the top. So it might take a little bit of work, but we'll squeeze the bottom, and that should help when we're placing the four washers on the top. Kind of squeeze the washers together, like so. And so what you should have is a partially completed assembly like this. Okay. Now, noting the orientation of the battery compartment, we're going to place the Arduino board on top. Okay. And using our slotted magnetic screwdriver, um, we're just starting screwing each corner in. Once the screws have been started, we can kind of snug them down. Again, don't over tighten the screws. Okay. So the thing that's really crucial now is we need to make sure that the level of the boards are appropriate. So when we take a look at the board, or the boards inside and the sled, you want to rotate it up and kind of put your head down at ground level so that you can kind of see underneath and make sure that there's enough clearance. And then you want to rotate the payload assembly to the top, and you want to do the same thing. You want to make sure that there's enough clearance at the top and the bottom so that as the payload gets ejected from the rocket, it doesn't hit anything on the way out. And right now, this is a completed payload. I want to make note here that the battery should be kind of toward the bottom. When the payload falls to the ground with the parachute, it will fall this way first. And the other thing I wanted to note is this is the up direction for the 9 degree of freedom sensor. So when you do your calibration, your final calibration, before loading the payload onto the rocket, it needs to be orientated like this. So again, you see the Arduino is kind of toward the bottom, the SD card's toward the top, the battery compartment is toward the bottom, and all that weight will pull the payload to the ground. And this completes the construction of the payload. As soon as you complete the payload sled assembly, load the payload sketch. This will capture the sensor data and write it to an SD card. To get to the sketch, open the Rising Data ICM 20948 folder. Open the file either by double-clicking on it or open from inside the Arduino IDE. Verify the sketch by pressing the Verify button. And then upload the sketch using the Upload button to the Arduino.